Jim.
On Chicago's southeast side, 95th Street is closed between Jeffrey and Oglesby. There is a multi-alarm fire at a Dollar Tree store. West side, there's a fire still blazing on Cicero Avenue at Madison. Some of the closures have lifted. Lakeshore Drive is open again, though traffic is forced off southbound at Fullerton and can re-enter there. In northbound, there's been a reopening from the south side as well. The inbound Stevenson ramp to northbound Lakeshore Drive remains closed. Many downtown bridges remain blocked. The Lakeshore Drive, Columbus, LaSalle, and Ida B. Wells are open. The CTA has limited service. The other public transit in the city shut down. It's traffic. I'm Jim Palamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1 hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Chance of sprinkles, then a chance of showers again in the afternoon. In our forecast, highs in the upper 70s, but only about a 20% chance of rain. Partly cloudy, lows in the upper 60s. Overnight with winds gusting up to 20 miles an hour out of the southwest. 56 at O'Hare, 58 along the lakefront, 57 at Midway. Your next news update is at 7. Breaking news as it happens. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
All right, welcome back. Amy Jacobson back in the studio. I love talking to myself about third person. And I'm here with John Anthony, who is joining me, former police officer.
Yes.
Tell us your resume real quick.
Former police officer, former state representative, and father of 6.
I know, father of 6.
Yes.
What's wrong with you?
Well, married 20 years this July.
Oh, congratulations. And you have 2-year-old twins?
Help me. Yeah, two-year-old girl twins. 5 girls, 1 boy.
Wow.
Help me. I need all the help I can get.
That'll be good.
See the gray, right?
Now I know why. All right, so over the weekend, 240 people arrested in the city. We had 20 police officers injured. It was just chaos here. Superintendent Brown.
I saw officers pelted with bottles and debris. Police officers were punched and even dragged through the streets. We have officers with broken bones and bruises. More than 20 officers went to the hospital. At least 2 of these required surgery. Many who were badly beaten and bruised never even bothered to seek medical treatment. Rather, they finished their shift by arriving at the hospital to give their partners and others a ride.
And again, one of the most egregious scenes from Saturday was a female police officer getting knocked to the ground. Then she was tackled.
Yes.
Then dragged by her partner who was trying to save her.
Yes.
And then a lieutenant or sergeant came in
White
and jumped on top of her to save her.
Yes.
And
he
then
did.
thank God, and he did. And thank God, some people in the crowd were like, "Whoa, wait!
Yeah.
You've gone too far." And they formed a human circle
To stop
around her. But a lot of people were complaining that, there's certain scenes from Saturday night where police weren't acting. They were showing such great restraint. And I don't know what the call is there. And is this, Superintendent Brown, this is probably one of the biggest events he's had. I know they had that horrible ambush of the police officers in Dallas, and he was the police chief there. But this is interesting, when to engage and when not to engage. And with that, let's welcome back to the program former Chicago Police Superintendent Garry McCarthy. Good morning, Mr. McCarthy. How are you?
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, John.
Hey,
I'm doing okay. I'm still quite disgusted watching what's going on.
I know.
But all in all, I'm okay.
It's just heartbreaking. And they can't even count the damages that has been done to businesses because everyone's affected. Almost every business downtown, and it's creeping up to Lakeview, and it's going down south 54th and Wentworth. Last night, the looting.
Yes.
There was a traffic jam, Garry, to get into that parking plaza to steal stuff. People looted trains
Amy,
that were moving. They jumped on trains, took all the televisions off.
Yeah, Amy, I yesterday I started getting reports of looting on the south side at about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. And I said, wait a second, and John backed me up on this. I've never heard of such a thing.
No.
Because the people who engage in those activities sleep in. They're not up at 7 o'clock going out to work.
Yeah.
So that one completely caught me off guard. And what we're seeing here, honestly, from the 10,000-foot level, and nobody wants to make these distinctions, and they're difficult to make, is I think there's three different dynamics going on. We've got people who genuinely care about what's happening in this country, racial disparities and issues between the police and communities of color, and these terrible incidents that happen like Mr. Floyd. Then there's a separate group of antagonists, and they're professional antagonists, and they travel around the country doing this over and over again. And I can give you examples of how this happens. And they're the ones in the crowd, and they join these peaceful protests, and they start inciting the crowd, and the mob mentality takes over, and the next thing you know, you've got a riot. And then the third dynamic is the looting that's going on now, which has a lot to do with opportunity. People just say, hey, it's a free-for-all. Let's go out and get some. And that's what's happening. But you know what? We have to take a step back. And people are talking about the organized effort that's been put nationwide here. And I've spoken to a number of my colleagues across the country. In particular, Bob Tracy, who came to Chicago with me, is in Wilmington, Delaware. And two things that really tell the story. They were arresting people from the state of Washington, rioting in Wilmington. Now, just think about it. If you care about George Floyd and you live in the state of Washington, you're going to go to Portland, you're going to go to Seattle, maybe even someplace on the West Coast like Los Angeles to protest. How did people from Washington end up in Wilmington, Delaware?
Yeah. They are sponsored groups, and Antifa, which thank goodness President Trump has deemed a terrorist group. I don't know exactly what that means. Our 7 o'clock guest will explain what the end game is there. But it's a start. It's something. And Mr. McCarthy, 1 in 4 of the protesters arrested in New York City, out-of-staters, and some Antifa, and actually some ISIS members. What did the chief say there?
Yeah, no, he said basically we spoke yesterday, and he said it's the most well-coordinated national attack that they've ever seen. And the fact is, those people who are inciting the violence, they're professional agitators, and this is what they do. And you can tell. Here's another vignette from Wilmington, Delaware. There's a benefactor. There's a young businessman who has made it pretty big. And what he's done is he's opened up a number of businesses across Wilmington, and he's now being accused by the Antifas of the world, and I'm not even saying it's Antifa, but there's a number of groups like that, of gentrifying Wilmington. As a result, the stores that got looted and burned in Wilmington, they passed by stores to go to his businesses. And if you take a look at what's happening just across Chicagoland and nationally, you're hearing national chains like CVS and Walmart having to close because they become targets, because they represent the establishment, corporate America, whatever you want to call it, that these people hate.
Hey, Superintendent McCarthy, but this is what I don't understand. I never received this in training when I went to the police academy. Maybe it's been almost close to 15 years now. But what's with these stand-down orders when you see, this violence, this loss of property and people attacking other people? I remember when you did it in 2012, there was none of that. There was no stand-down orders. I mean, you guys...
And you were on the front line, and you had the Billy Club, and you were ready to go. You were with your troops. Do you see that with Superintendent Brown? And I don't understand why he's wearing khaki pants, like he's coming from a picnic and not his uniform. Does he not have one yet?
He does not have one. You have to get certified as a police officer in Illinois before you can do that.
Okay,
so he's at a disadvantage not being able to do that. But here's a point, John, you brought it up. In 2012, we kind of set the gold standard for mass demonstrations, how to handle them. Yes. I think we made something like 100 plus arrests over a 5-day period. There was virtually no violence. There were some confrontations. But we had a plan.
Yes.
That plan is applicable to today and what's happening. Have you seen, all I've seen are officers wearing helmets, and naturally the press calls that riot gear. No, that's not riot gear. Riot gear is the turtle suit, the black suit with the with the shin guards and everything else that goes along with it. I have not seen one of
Where is
those
that gear?
in Chicago.
One.
But can't they take it out of storage? Where is it?
Amy, forget about the gear. What it represents is the fact that they don't have that plan anymore.
Right.
They were called Mobile Strike Forces. And if you remember, we did not wholesale take on
That's
people until we absolutely had to.
That's right.
We had this technique where we would get the 10 officers and a sergeant. We would open the line. Boom. These guys and gals would go in there, grab the person, take them out handcuffed. That's it. You don't go wholesale into a line.
That's right.
But we've reverted to that. And I thought about it, and all the people who were major players during NATO are not in the department anymore.
Oh,
So apparently, 8 years later, all that work that we put into it means absolutely nothing today because it hasn't been maintained. It's a perishable skill also, and the training has to be ongoing for mass demonstrations.
So how is the decision made to engage or not engage? What are the rules? Because again, there were some scenes Saturday night where the police are just standing there watching people loot and smash windows and help themselves to other people's goods.
Yeah, it's real simple, Amy. And you heard me say it time and time again in 2012. We will protect people's First Amendment rights. And even if I disagree with them, one of the most disgusting things I've seen in my life is an American flag burning.
Yeah.
My dad was a World War II Marine. But I will protect people's rights to do that because that's what the Constitution says. But you have to be intolerant of criminal behavior. And once criminal behavior starts, that's where you intercede.
Yeah.
And that's not what has been happening, certainly here in Chicago.
We're on a curfew ban, 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Yesterday, for the first time in our lifetimes, CTA completely shut down. No trains coming in or out of the city, no buses taking people in or out of the city. I think that was a bold move that needed to be done because I was downtown. Excuse me. I was downtown yesterday, and people kept coming in, and they kept coming in, and I thought we got to shut this down. So is there any advice or recommendation you would give to Superintendent Brown or to Mayor Lori Lightfoot?
Well, when this thing is over, and I just saw in the news that the curfew is over today. I'm not sure that that's the right move, but apparently the curfew is over. But when this event is over, there needs to be a serious after-action report. They have to go back and look at the best practices that we created years ago and make sure that we're ready to take them off the shelf and use them at a moment's notice, because these things don't happen in a vacuum. This started Thursday night. Mm-hmm. This started Thursday night. By Friday, we should have known what was coming.
That's it.
And we didn't do it, and Saturday got worse.
Yeah.
So, there's still fires burning out there today, and we're going to lift the curfew. Doesn't seem like we're in control yet.
All right. Well, thank you, former Superintendent Garry McCarthy. It's always a pleasure having you on, and thank you so much.
Good talking to you,
Thanks,
sir.
Amy.
Thanks.
Thanks, John.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is